recording. Can everybody see my screen with the video?
First, we will highlight on how to use the Zoom platform. Below is a visual example of how to participate and engage in the summit session directly from the Zoom client. Users can click on the unmute button to speak and on the start video to turn on their camera. You can also see the rest of the participants by clicking on participants, and if you want to start a chat, then click chat. This will open up a chat box where you can start messaging the participants. Primero veremos cómo usar la plataforma Zoom. Abajo es un ejemplo visual de cómo participar e involucrarse en la sesión de la cumbre directamente desde el cliente de Zoom. Los usuarios pueden hacer clic en el botón de silenciar para hablar y en el video de inicio para prender su cámara. Pueden ver el resto de los participantes haciendo clic en los participantes y si desean iniciar un chat, haga clic en chat. Eso abrirá un cuadro de chat donde puede comenzar a enviar mensajes a los participantes. Next, we will highlight on how to turn on closed captioning. We have enabled captioning services for each session. When entering the session, you will see a notification that captioning services are available. Attendees can click the CC icon and choose to show subtitles, view full transcript, or modify subtitle settings. A continuación, veremos cómo activar los subtítulos. Hemos habilitado los servicios de subtítulos para cada sesión. Al ingresar a una sesión, verá una notificación de lo que los servicios de subtítulos están disponibles. Los asistentes pueden hacer clic en el icono de C y elegir mostrar subtítulos, ver la transcripción completa o modificar la configuración de subtítulos. We have also enabled interpretation services for each session. When entering a session, you will see a notification that interpretation services are available. Attendees can click on the globe icon and choose to enable interpretation in available languages, or if preferred, simply turn the feature off. To hear the interpreted language only, click View Original Audio. Los asistentes también pueden usar los servicios de interpretación. Hemos habilitado servicios de interpretación para cada sesión. Al ingresar a una sesión, verá una notificación de que los servicios de interpretación están disponibles. Los asistentes pueden hacer clic en el icono del globo y optar para escuchar los idiomas disponibles, o si lo prefieren, simplemente desactivar la función. Para escuchar solo el idioma interpretado, haga clic en silenciar audio original. Attendees will also be able to adjust and utilize accessibility features on their WebEx platform. Click on the bottom left icon with your picture or name, and a menu should pop up. If you would like to adjust any accessibility features, click on Accessibility Adjustments. Los asistentes también podrán utilizar las funciones de accesibilidad en su plataforma WebEx. Haga clic en el icono inferior izquierdo con su imagen o nombre y aparecerá un menú. Si desea ajustar algunas funciones de accesibilidad, haga clic en Ajustes de accesibility. Once accessed, users will be able to adjust their settings in their profile. Slide the button from off to on for any preferred setting. Some key features you are able to turn on are seizure-safe profile, vision-impaired profile, ADHD-friendly profile, cognitive disability profile, keyboard navigation order, and blind users screen reader profile. Una vez accedido, los usuarios podrán ajustar su configuración en su perfil. Elige el botón de apagado a encendido para cualquier configuración preferida. Algunas funciones clave que puede activar son perfil seguro contra convulsiones, perfil para personas con problemas de visión, perfil compatible con TDAH, perfil de discapacidad cognitiva, navegación con teclado motor y perfil de usuarios ciegos, lector de pantalla. Users can also adjust their content settings on their profile. Some settings attendees can adjust are content scaling, readable font, highlight titles, highlight links, text magnifier and alignment, adjust font sizing, line height, and spacing. Los usuarios también pueden ajustar su configuración de contenido en su perfil. Algunas configuraciones que los asistentes pueden ajustar son escalado de contenido, fuente legible, títulos y enlaces destacados, ampliación y alineación del texto, ajuste del tamaño de fuente, altura de línea y espaciado. Users can also adjust colors on their profile. You can select between contrast, saturation, and adjust the colors on text, title, and background. El usuario también puede ajustar los colores de su perfil. Puede seleccionar entre contraste, saturación y ajustar los colores del texto, el título y el fondo. One final thing is that users are able to adjust the orientation of their profile. You can mute sound, hide images, use red mode, utilize a reading guide, stop animations, highlight, hover, and focus, use a reading mask, and choose between a black or white cursor. Una última cosa es que los usuarios pueden ajustar la orientación de su perfil. Puede silenciar sonidos, ocultar imágenes, usar el modo de lectura, utilizar una guía de lectura, detener animaciones, resaltar y enfocar, usar una máscara de lectura y elegir entre un cursor blanco o negro.
Great, thank you all for watching. So I'm gonna hand it over to Nate to get us started. And yeah, I see everyone has introduced themselves in the chat, so just continue on.
I'll be starting us off. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adonis Platt. I'm an urban farmer on the south side of Chicago, specifically in the Inglewood neighborhood. I've been growing for about 3 years now, successfully supporting a number of gardens in the community before then going into schools, doing restorative justice practices, working to implement restorative practices throughout schools, in CPS and charter schools throughout the city. I want to pass it on over to Nicole.
Hi guys, welcome to this summit, and it's a beautiful day outside. So my name is Nicole Hunter. I'm the CEO of Lime Smiles for Miles. We are a 3 to 6 year old program for children diagnosed with autism or Down syndrome to our low income families on the west side of Chicago. Yeah, and I will pass it to Miss Gina Jameson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I need to apologize. My picture's not visible. My computer's acting crazy. When they work, they're wonderful. And when they don't work, they make you all upset and make you crazy. But anyway, I'm Ms. Gina, and I am the manager and coordinator for the community garden, Kuumba Trayan Community Garden, located on the west side of Chicago. We are a community garden, and where we do a lot of different things, where we integrate children in our learning space, and we have community members that grow their own vegetables, and we have a lot of things going on in the garden. And I will pass it on to Nate.
Hi all, I'm Nathan Haflin. I help run a urban farm in the Englewood community called Wood Street Collective. We're also like a nonprofit that does youth programs, forestry programs, and food access. And this year we're kind of getting started into the literacy space. Fun fact about me is I'm a Southsider, but a big Cubs fan. I'm gonna move on to the next slide and get us started on a roadmap for what we'll be speaking about today. As a panel, we're gonna kind of go through each of these questions or text blurbs as a way to spark a discussion between these my 3 esteemed panelists here. And we're going to start off by asking, how can a garden enhance education for all ages? And then we're going to get into, some specific programs, how we measure success, respectively among all of us, and some of the learning areas that we think are really key, or, ways that we can like close gaps and have really equitable education outcomes, using the garden and green space as a vessel there. And then we're going to end off with some, plans for 2025 that we think that you all can benefit from, resources and upcoming events. So to begin, I just want to ask, panelists, let's all speak from the heart, and, how can, a garden enhance education for ages? What are some key things that we want to, bring up here today.
Awesome. Well, I'll just start it off. So how Lime Smiles for Miles is enhancing education. So our mission at Lime Smiles for Miles is to provide safe early intervention childcare services to low-income families, children 3 to 6 diagnosed with autism on the spectrum or Down syndrome. We focus on supporting our caregivers by providing safe, educational, affordable childcare to autistic children born with intellectual delays, social and behavior disabilities. Our goal is to engage our families in nutrition and educational and physical support. And our garden is created, so we created our green space to be an outdoor autonomy classroom. So in return, we are promoting again early intervention. We're targeting food insecurities while restoring mental health uh, to our families with disability. And hopefully, we'll be filling in the gray areas in support of the Chicago Public Schools and other facilities that are house our children, our early children. So yeah, we just really want to. That's how our garden focus on enhancing education. And we also have it's like a typical preschool classroom, but it's on the outside. So we have all the learning domains in there from art, like we have on the board, art, literacy, reading, but we also added a component, which is our garden. And so, they learn self-help skills, as well as the families, and they learn healthy eating. Yeah.
I'll go. Hello again, everybody.
Yeah.
My name is
Yeah.
Adonis. When I think of how can gardens enhance education for all ages, I think of getting back into nature and the calming effects that nature has for our nervous systems. And so typically we have a lot of students cooped up all day sitting who have a lot of energy. And so garden spaces can be a space for students, especially ones who suffer from like ADHD or ADD, to be a space for outlets for them to be able to express some of that energy in a positive way while also learning a valuable skill that can pass down over for the rest of their lives, along with bringing families together to share that powerful skill. As we noticed, the price of food in this country keeps going up, and so I think it's time for our families to tap back into those historical skills that we've used to survive throughout these times of instability and uncertainty. And so that's how I see it, along with just being a nice community space for people to just learn about insects, bugs, birds, like just to be a
Yes.
nature space for just nature watching, if so. So that's how I
Yeah.
see it.
Okay, I'll go next. Thank you, Adonis. Um, my intake on community gardens and the nature space and how do we integrate that with education. With my garden, we have community members that we have 24 spaces. And of those 24, we have 6 spaces specifically for the elementary school Willa Cather. My process is you get them young, teach them young. And then another thing is it's a safe place because they only have to walk 1 block from their school to the space of the community KTA garden. Our children don't get to play outside very much nowadays with the dynamic that we have. So we have to create a
Mhm.
safe space for them. We also have to create a space for that's educational of healthy eating. The best way to do that is to teach them how to grow their own food, their own vegetables, because they'll know exactly what that is. Teaching them that, having workshops, coming to them and teaching them the facts with the STEM program of what a plant is, what a plant does. start from a seed, and then you grow it to a seedlings, and then you plant it and you water and you maintain it, and then you harvest it and you eat it. That's the process of the education, teaching our children right from, it's called seed to feed.
Mhm.
And then with the prices of food nowadays, we are going to probably think not only for our children, but for ourselves, that we need to start growing our own vegetables. So, and then my
Yes.
take is healthy body, eating healthy, you have a healthy body, and then we're going to start making healthy decisions, because now we're going to be putting things in our system that is healthy for us, and it's going to make us think better and feel better. And what could be better than that? Taking this vessel that you have and making it the best that it can be. So that's and with the workshops and teaching the children how to plant and seeing them even take a seed and then to see it to grow into something magnificent, then turn around and eat it. What more can you do?
Yes.
And we have to create that space for our children, and you got to get them young, you know,
Yes.
feel like they are enjoying it, to make them feel like they're empowered by it. Uh, when we get older, we just think about the logic part, but let's think about the emotional part of what it does for us. So that's my take on it.
I I think gardens are well suited for education based on the timing. You know, kids get out of school in like June. So, you know, the garden is really like a summer activity. It's really most beautiful space, you know, during the summer months where kids are out of school. So I think they're really effective in terms of preventing like summer brain melt, like teaching kids, focus and mindfulness, through different programming. I think just kind of puts them on the track of like year-round engagement, year-round learning, because you're a year-round grower. You always are a student. And so having that mentality instilled, I think is super important, based on like out of
Yeah.
school education. And then
Yeah.
I'd also say that like reading is like just super important in general. I'm a big bookworm. I have been since I was a kid. So I'm just kind of trying to turn that into a strength in my organizing and, move into a mindset of like, okay, how can, we do food access and also, fill backpacks with books and get kids to read them too. You can't just like engage kids. You also have to have that like higher standard of how do we educate youth.
Yes. And also, with our gardening and just enhancing our children, like so we our main focus is children with IEPs or behavioral plans or just autism diagnosis. And so the garden itself just naturally um help them meet milestones, with being responsible for watering the plants. Our philosophy at Lime Smiles for Miles is if the child helped plant the seed, they watch it grow, they trample over it. Oh no, it's broken, and now we fix it back together. They're more open to eating their vegetables than there are just like not knowing where it come from, not ever seeing it, and then you put this teeny tiny little tree on their plate, and they're like, "What is this?" Oh, it's broccoli, sweetie. Well, I'm not eating that, because it looks like a tree. But if they actually just visually see the process and watch it happen, yeah, they naturally intake the vegetables. And nutrition automatically helps with regulating our emotions, our social and emotion. And so, yeah, I'm all for, garden education.
Yeah, this also has me think of what you were saying is like trampling the seed and rebuilding it. It's like
Uh-huh.
that action in itself builds resiliency for learning within youth because they understand that you're gonna have pitfalls in whatever you go through, gardening, learning
Mhm.
math, learning reading, and then being able to translate those skills over from the gardening tip to their actual education is super important and understanding, hey, you need to be watering, and watering can be represented as study, it can be represented as doing your homework, it can be represented as
Yes.
so many different things when we
Then you
think
get your
as an education.
measurements, like you said,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Mhm. And
Yeah.
relating to that too is I piggyback on when they step on something and it's broken, they go start crying and cheering. Oh my God, oh my God. Well, guess what? We can fix that. watch this, fix that. And then you plant it
Yes.
and replant it and you root it. And then they say, oh my goodness. And another thing is when we teach our children with books but when we teach them hands-on, we can show them all the different aspects, show the diagrams on paper and in books, and that doesn't really resonate because they're probably not really involved or engaged. But when they
We're
do
able to sit.
hands-on, when they do hands-on, and then they can relate back to what they saw in the book, then it's ingrained in them. And I think the hands-on is the most significant way of teaching our children, letting them see how step by step. And another thing is, it takes a passion, it takes
Yes.
consistency, and we have discipline, and they learn all of those things in gardening. That's the beauty of it. And then in the end
Yeah.
result is that become happy people.
Yes.
And then just teaching
Yes.
them, like I was saying, teaching them young, we teach the kindergartners and the first graders, and we keep them for 2 years. So to carry it on, so to really ingrain them, not just taking them for 1 year and then it's gone, but we take what they learned last year and then implement it and then take it to another level. So you have to keep them
Yes.
for about 2 years for it to be instilled in them. So that's what I do.
Yes.
And you catch them young.
Yes. And that's where
And
we
then,
focus, early
right.
intervention, getting them while
And
they're
then
young.
And then another thing that we have to give a space for our children, that's something that's beautiful, because with the dynamics, especially in the city, they hear sirens, they hear police cars. We've got to give them something. And that's what I like the beauty of the garden where we have. They have a school garden there in the back of their school, but then they can walk over to one block and see a beautiful garden that they are invested in. And then what happens when they leave school, they're going to cross their school garden, they're going to cross the KTA garden, and then they're going to go to the next block and come to reality. So why can't we give them some place to see something beautiful? And then when they come to reality, they can look at it a different way. So that's what I think my process is.
That's beautiful.
Nate?
Very great, everybody. I think we're gonna move on to one-off events and weekly summer programs. And this is an opportunity for all of us, to share, a little bit of the logistics of, how we make these education programs a reality. So I think I'm gonna move to Donis.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So one of the projects I'm working on with is the Backyard Gardens program with Grow Greater Inglewood. We have in the past employed young people 16 to 26 years old, specifically from the Inglewood STEM and Inglewood-based high schools, because we're Inglewood-based organization and program. And so some of our focus areas in the past have been carpentry, agriculture, canvassing, and building teamwork and communication through the gardening through gardening. And so what that looked like is we would build raised beds. One image on the top here is a plant identification day that we did at the breathing room. And so we seeded spinach there and then came back a week later to see how it's, well, not more than a week, as y'all can see. We came back some time later to see like the seedlings pop up, and then going through and removing the weeds and understanding that this takes patience and that you have to be intentional in the work that you're doing. You can't just throw a seed down and expect it to come with no problems, no issues. Just like anything that we do, there's going to be challenges in the world. And so we have to be focused on making sure that we're focused on removing the weeds and any of the hazards that may come up in the challenges and the dreams that we're trying to create for ourselves. Carpentry, we build raised beds for Inglewood residents. Canvassing, we've worked on lobby day, and so working to get some young youth down to Springfield to talk to senators and politicians about farm bills, and then teamwork and communication. Um, a group of young people working together in a garden, so it's all about teamwork and communication and building that skill, because they've never experienced this work before. And so like typically our first week we'll do a lot of icebreakers and community building before we even get into the garden. We may walk it, we may tour it, may do some seeding, but we're not doing any direct. We're doing mostly deep community building through icebreakers, through storytelling, through games. And so some of the impacts that we've had through this work, through this project, 100 backyard gardens were installed throughout the Inglewood neighborhood. I'm working with 3 schools currently, and then we're able to pay our youth $20 an hour during those periods. This bottom image is I brought the University of Chicago civic engagement students so then they can have a college high school collaboration, because a lot of our young people are juniors and seniors, so thinking about going to college, so then connecting them with actual college students who have a passion in growing, are pursuing a degree in environmental sciences, landscape architecture, just a number of different green spaces. And then having those young people work together, have conversation together, and build together to see that, hey, just as me and my colleagues aren't just the only people in community who are interested in this work, but it's like a whole wide range of people all across the world from different backgrounds, from different cultures, different ethics, who are all interested in making this world a better place through creating beautiful spaces. Here's the next one.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you. Another thing that we're doing is, like I mentioned earlier, partnering with schools. This is St. Benedict Catholic Academy. This is our carrot club. As you see that image right there, those are carrots that I think they were in 4th grade at the time, 3rd or 4th grade, because we've been working with them from 3rd, 4th, for 3 years now, from 3rd to 6th grade. They're going to be in 6th grade this year. And so when they were younger, we had the 8th graders who are about to graduate build out the raised beds behind the in-ground beds behind them. They did the install, they painted it, and then the younger people who are coming up behind them have been tending to it. And so this is the Carrot Club. The young people come, they have a great time. We do cooking demos. And then this is a tasting of all the things that the young people grew that year. So they tasted purple carrots, collards, cucumbers, tomatoes, green peppers and green tomatoes, peppers, just whatever we were growing in that garden that year. Along with, we do a nice cooking demo. So some of the things that we focus on for our schools is cooking. So showing that the young people that, hey, this food isn't, you don't have to just eat it raw. There's a number of ways you can make. One of our famous things that the young people love is vegetarian tacos. I'll jerk up some vegetarian tacos, and the young people will have some, what is it, potato kale, jerk potato kale, and whatever else is growing that the young people do want to throw in there to make a delicious taco, vegetarian taco. And so, yeah, doing cooking, agriculture, they have that garden, they're learning agricultural skills. And then we do mindfulness. So we have some yoga, we have breathing, we have art, thinking about literacy. We have the young people create the signs for the rows of what's being planted there. So working on their reading, spelling skills, so they know how to spell carrot, how to spell lettuce, just the basic things that a young person, 3rd to 6th grade should be working on. And so like that's some of the ways that we're working with, also working with high schoolers, to bring the same skills to young people who are in the alternative school, who have experienced, deep traumas. So like being more of a mindfulness space and not so much focused on the agricultural skills, but just a beautiful space just to be, to relax, and to de-stress from the pressures of our society.
You guys are doing a lot over there.
Yep, next. Yeah, we're doing a lot. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. So that leads me into um also, instead of a one-off event, Lime Smiles for Miles, we are a 10-week program that starts up. This is our 3rd year. So we will pick up we start June the 7th. From 1 to 4, and we're located 2901 West Warren in Chicago, Illinois, for our West Side recipients. So who we are, as I keep mentioning, children diagnosed with autism or Down syndrome, and where we're located in West Garfield. But our demographics are for North Lawndale, East and West Garfield, Austin area, as well as West Humble Park. Because we'll just lead it to the focus area. We noticed that we need safe childcare services for our special need children, because it's easy for trauma or abuse to happen to them. And so with Lime Smiles for Miles, we are a gated community, but we're outside, and the entire community sees us and they hear us. So in our community, we do that. We get the happy sounds. Okay. And it's funny that in our garden, we are outdoor space, and our children, our typical behavior is that they put their hands up over their ears. But when they walk over the gate, they put their hands down, and we're still outside. And when it's time to go, they put their hands back up, but they're still outside, but they're outside the gate. So, it's just like trustworthy, safe place, because that is how we can teach and get our children to buy into what we want, is through trust, and just safeness, and that they trust you, that you're going to meet their needs. And then affordable. So why are services for special needs, for especially a child diagnosed with autism, even a younger adult, why is it so expensive to get quality, real-time information and services for them? So that's where the affordableness come in at. So even with typical child care centers, it can be a whole, they get low cost, but the child with autism, they're even lacking less services, but it's more expensive to get help for them. And then we move on to the next one, which complements our families with special needs, which as a whole, I read in the comments, as a whole, that everyone needs to know about nutrition and nutrition dense foods. So Lime Smiles for Miles, the vegetables that you see in the picture, we grew them. And then at the end of the harvest, we test the juices, the bricks in our vegetables, fruits and vegetables, to see the quality of it. So Miss Nicole likes to have a glass of wine every now and again. So we just put it in the mind frame of bricks. A lower brick of wine is like that bottom shelf of wine. So you're not getting the quality, you're not getting that good stuff. You're getting like that $5.99 bottle. But if you have a higher brick, a higher quality vegetable, you're looking up. You're looking at the more expensive bottles. You're looking at the time and the good stuff. So so we test our vegetables to see if they're higher in their quality, and we want to in return give that to our children that have deficiencies in their blood. And to help them bring it up. So we tailor our vegetables that we grow according to the deficiencies in their body. So we do advocate for anyone that do want to enroll their child. We do advocate for a typical blood work chart from the doctor, and you get that through you naturally get that through your provider. But what we ask you to do is just call them and ask them to give you a printout of their blood work, and they submit it to Lime Smiles for Miles, and we grow our vegetables according to the deficiency. So if you can see my background, everything that we grow, we see how it fits. So we're not doing multivitamins or just anything. We're actually targeting deficiencies. Yeah, and just through helping with healthy eating, we're targeting the IEP goals once again, benchmarks. We're helping our parents to actually sit there and advocate and talk and know how to advocate for their child. We're becoming a real-time resource place for autism. Um, from early learning to young adults, because we are going to follow this face that's smiling, that just drunk his smoothie that we made, that they gathered all that's chard, that's a squash flower, I think it's a zucchini in there, and his little happy face, he just drunk it up. And behaviors do change. I don't want to go ahead of myself, but when you focus on being out, getting vitamin D, being in the sun, being physical, eating healthy, you diminish all the stigmas with autism, the not sleeping, the being super active, the repetitive behaviors, because those things are just kind of stressful moments. That's where they're trying to self-regulate, so when you are, it just really accommodates them, guys. And if you have any questions, please put them in the group, in the chat. Uh, yeah, because I know I'm going. And so through through our garden, which is outdoor, and it's a preschool classroom outdoor. We focus on their what they need help in the public schools, or we focus on what was the problem in their past, preschool setting, and then help them to meet milestones through there. Yeah, and once again, our impact is early intervention. So I was at a symposium in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and a parent walked up to me and she said, "Wow, Miss Nicole, you are ahead of the game." Because if her child had early intervention, a garden space, her child is she developed an eating disorder where she's bulimic, and so and so if she was just had a place where a place of her own where she could experience food and see food and watch it grow, and maybe she would be, have a better outcome. So the mom herself told me that we were at a great point. And being in that atmosphere, Live Smiles for Miles was the missing piece because those families actually pay for their child to live there. But we are low income early intervention, which is actually making autism support as a full circle, not just saying one community, but autism support as a whole. And food insecurities. Let's not forget that, naturally. Okay, because the west side of Chicago is known for not having quality grocery stores. Our children naturally go to the gas station to get food if when they get out of school. Our public school kids, they go to the gas stations and they get nachos and cheese and flaming hots and cheese, and they just eat what is given to them in their environment. So Live Smiles for Miles is becoming a beacon for healthy eating and supporting our special needs. Yeah, and I'll pass it.
I guess I'm next. The the community Garfield Park. I'm sorry, the Coomba Trail Community Gardens. Okay, who? Garfield Park residents are part of the um, community garden, which has 24 beds. The reason I want to show this picture, you see the elderly woman, and then you see the children. My whole concept is intergenerational. I want our children to know that seniors do have some information they can give them. They're just not old and don't know what to do, but we have to impact our young children with our elders to let them know the history, to let them know how to work together, to make a community that's intergenerational, because we all have to live together. And it's very important because I feel that the having grandchildren, they love me more than I think my children do because of the connection. And we need to have that because grandparents are so important. It's just so important in our lives. But anyway, that was the picture for the senior, or I should say seasoned person, and the children, because that's what the entire concept of the Coomba Trail Community Garden is. And we focus on the residents and our schools. And that being said, we're really concentrated on the Willa Cather School, elementary school, engaging those children to also engage with our the members that are in the KTA garden. The involvement is working together because generally the seasoned residents are usually there because the ones parents are usually at work. So putting them together, it just makes it a mindful, and they can teach from and learn from each other. The involvement is 100%. When the children come over to the garden, my garden members are there to accept them. Also, with their teachers have to come with them. So it's a combination of a lot of different ages. You got your teacher there, so we can keep them in order. And then we have those of the garden members that are also there to teach them. Yeah. The one thing that they do, and one thing that I really love about one of their the process of the program is when the children walk to the garden, they run outside, want to go across the street. So we've got to engage them. Okay, we've got to settle down. When they come to the garden, which is their safe space, we do 5 minutes, 6 minutes of just sitting down and just meditate. Just settle down. And with that being, now they can absorb whatever they have to be taught. Now they can absorb as opposed to say, oh, she hit me, he hit me, she touched me. Oh, I don't want it next to them. We get rid of all of that outside distraction by just calming them down. And that's the mindfulness. In order for them to grasp what we have to teach, they have to be engaged. And if they're not, and if they're distracted, it's not going to happen. The one thing that I enjoy about the children start their seedlings in their classrooms and they go through the scientific and that's what I was saying about when they're taught by the book, they see this and they have no idea what they're saying until they actually put hands on. So they do their seeds and seedlings in their classroom. Then it becomes to about 1 inch, 2 inches, excuse me. Then they bring their seedlings to the garden in the greenhouse, and they come by twice a week and they maintain whatever they have to do, water, weed, or just whatever, clean up. And then when their seedlings get to a point that they can now be planted in their raised beds, then that's what they do. And then still twice a week, they come and they maintain, make sure it's weeded, make sure that if they have to separate them or whatever they have to do. Now they're going to be maintaining, watering until their vegetables or what they decided to grow grows into the aspect of in full production. Then we take whatever they decided, and let me just go back. In the classroom, they decide what they want to grow. Let me just put it like that. So when they do that, the seeds and the seedlings and bring it to the garden, then we plant it. Then once it comes to full fruition, we take all of those ingredients and create a party. And the party is everything that they've grown. We do one thing that was the mango pico de gallo, where we took the cilantro and we took the vegetables and we put it all together and we wrapped it in a cabbage leaf. Oh, it was just amazing, And then for them to see the seed to feed, the whole perspective of what that is. And then I find the curiosity is like, oh, what's this? And when they look at, and another thing is the girls with the bugs. We teach them that bugs are absolutely a necessity in your garden. They're not to be killed. They're not to be run away from. Because they enhance the growing process. Certain insects do and certain don't. So we teach them which ones are good and which ones are not good. When the aphids are there, we try to get rid
Those
of them.
dang on
Just pluck them off.
aphids.
And the aphids,
You get those aphids out
when
of
we
there.
see butterflies, we want to see that. When we see bees, we want to see that. We're not going to run around from the bees. We're going to stand still because the bees think that you're a flower and they just want to see if they can pollinate. And then when they feel that you're a human, it's like, that's not it. And then they go away. So you don't have to run away from them. You don't have to swat because they're here to pollinate and to make honey. So you have to teach them these things. Oh, I'm scared of that one, but just put them, a worm. Oh my goodness. The worms, they go crazy, right? So let's everybody just take a worm, the ones who want to pick up the worms, that love the worm, and then let's just show it around to everybody. And they say, oh, okay, look. When the worms kind of like navigate in the soil to make holes, to make air for the soil. So they are definitely someone that we need in our garden. So teaching them, making the curiosity, make the curiosity meaningful, not scary. So that's the whole process. The agricultural part is gardening 100%. And I love the word that the patience. It teaches our children patience because they are immediate gratification. Mommy, I want this. And when are you going to get it? Or mommy, I need this. Or dad, whichever the parent is. We got to teach them patience. It just doesn't come all of a sudden. And that's one thing garden teaches you because patience is what makes your garden grow. and you have to be patient. And then we want to teach them that certain bugs are beneficial. And I'm glad that someone put that beneficial. We need the right flowers to bring the pollinators. So we have to take that, the flowers, the herbs, all of those things are, integrated within, and that's part of the agriculture. You take the herbs and you mix them with your vegetables, and you don't have to use chemical ingredients to put in your spice. You can do fresh spices to put in all of your meals, and that's the whole part of agriculture. The whole part of agriculture. Okay, impact, lasting staple of community togetherness. That's what it's all about, and that's what I enjoy about the persons on the panel. We've all met each other. We all connected. Even Nate came to the garden of KTA and grew garlic. He took a whole box of garlic. Nicole, she comes and she brings the environment of the autistic babies, back and forth, and they integrate because we're across the street from each other. So that's the community togetherness. Also, Adonis, I went to his garden. I was just flabbergasted, all the things that they do there. And that connection, just meeting each other with like minds and coming together and being part of each other's segment. We all have something special to add. We all have something special to give. And when we put all of that together, it's just an amazing. And then when you come to different workshops, and that's another thing that we do in our garden. We teach our members. We did a training the trainer given by the conservatory, where they teach how the seeds and everything. We had a compost workshop to teach us the effects and how to do compost. That's the one thing that I really, really want our members to know. There's a process. Having our soil tested, having the members come in, okay, I want you to help me to get the soil together. I want you to connect with Dr. Israel and find out and then I want you, once they give us the research and the graft of what we need, I want you, when I say you, I mean all of us, to go and purchase those things and apply those things. That's how the community togetherness is. And it improves our nutrition because we start with good soil, we start organic seeds, we get the patience in there, we get the love and the emotion, and you start touching that soil and it feels so good. And then and to me, it's not a smell, it's a fragrance. Good soil is nothing but fragrant. And you say, oh my goodness, this is going to be so delicious. So that's with that, we improve our nutrition. And with our nutrition, once said, hey, we make ourselves with this beautiful temple, smiling, feeling good. And that's what it's all about. We take all of those negative aspects around us and let's just put the beauty around us. And it's all emotion. And that's what's going to make us healthy. So that's my take on it. Oh, I just have to say one other thing. I'm all about health and wellness and good nutrition. And we, being part of the Garfield Park Advisory Council, where I'm the president, we have a skate event every third Thursday, and we provide the concession stand. And what I do with that, I try to have on our concession healthy items for our children to eat. When we prepare the food, whatever we take, like we do tacos, we do turkey tacos. I come in there with fresh onions, with fresh cilantro, with fresh jalapenos, with fresh as much stuff, as I can, items as ingredients as I possibly can. We make our own taco shell to make it fresh as possible. And then I do fruit cups, fresh fruit cups for them to take. It's a process because they're accustomed to the nachos and the cheese from the store. It's a process, but we have to start somewhere. We just have to start somewhere. And that's what I want to let them know, that fresh food tastes delicious, it's absolutely. And I had to get a suggestion from you got to take them slow. You just can't throw it out there at them. You got to take them slow and easy. because the palate is already accustomed to the ingredients that they already know, which is not healthy. So now you just have to take them a little slower. And it's becoming, amazing. The only thing that they make me do is make them brownies. I have to make the brownies, okay? That's the only thing that, is not as healthy, but I use fresh butter and those great organic flour, so that kind of helps too. So it's all about health and wellness, it's so important because we all know that, mental health is really a primary cause in our community. So what can we do to kind of like navigate that? So
Yeah.
next.
Just to piggyback real quick before we
Yes.
move on, thinking about like those taste buds and building that curiosity, something I love to do towards
Mhm.
the August season once it's harvest is go to the grocery store and get like a regular cucumber, get a regular tomato, get the things that you're already growing, and then do a
Mhm.
tasting with the young people so they can taste the difference of like, oh my God, this is what a real beefsteak tomato tastes like. This is what a real Roma tomato tastes like. Oh my God, we need to do this more. And so like that's something that I've noticed builds a lot of curiosity with our young people. It's just food. Like food is the way.
Food is medicine. Absolutely. Definitely food is
Yes,
medicine.
yes. And we totally, thank Miss Gina for this connection, because if it wasn't for Kumba Tree, Lime Smiles for
Oh,
Miles would be here.
oh, oh, I love you. Well,
Thank
I'm
you.
all about the babies now. I'm about those babies. Definitely about those young ones, okay, we got to
Yes,
get them right on the right track. And they're just
yes.
such adorable children. And I didn't know much about, and I'm just going to piggyback on Lime Smile. I didn't know much about autistic Down syndrome babies. I just didn't know, as none of us know. And when Nicole came to me, needing a space, it was like, oh, okay. Now I'm curious, right? I'm going to the curiosity state. So I just said, what does that look like? And to see her, we had a little conflict there initially, but to see what she has done
I
for
think
that
that's everybody.
outdoor camp is absolutely amazing. Where she has made it into a classroom and to
Think
see
we
the
have more
children.
pictures, Miss Gina, of
Huh?
the
Huh?
Gardens by Warren, where Miss Nicole runs the Smiles for Miles program. I think we have some pictures in the upcoming slides. So I just want
Oh,
to
Yeah,
make
okay.
sure the
All right. I'm just saying, I just wanted to tell her thank you. And the curiosity
thank
just was
you, Miss
overwhelming
Gina.
for me.
Thank you so much. We
Okay.
appreciate you.
Okay. I'm done.
no,
Sorry,
Miss
sorry,
Gina.
Nate.
No, with so many years of having a community impact. I mean, I think everyone wants to hear what you have to say. But I'm a bit more on the younger side. This event that I'm going to talk about, it's our first annual book fest.
Mm,
So our impact is more so like figuring out, how to work with the community, kind of on like, all right, where do we start? And so our program at Wood Street Collective has, began with kind of smaller, literacy programs, giving away books to CPS elementaries. That's what's happening in the top right corner is that we invited, an author to come in and speak to a third grade classroom and donate some books. And, you know, I think that was just like really eye-opening on the impact of like introducing students to a published author can mean because everyone wants to have a role model, and kids only know what they see and have that hands-on activity can really be inspiring. And so I think that prompted some intersectionality with how we as an urban farm kind of cultivate a love of reading and cultivate a curiosity. And through a few like book, toy, coat giveaways this winter. A lot of organizers that our group works with, felt similarly, and that's how the book fest kind of was born. So our goal is to have like platforming a programming stage and having panel discussions, children's reading activities, bilingual readings
mm,
when it comes to both children's books and also poetry. I think the other organizers at Wood Street Collective feel that, and myself feel that, poetry is not a luxury. that means like the literary arts and reading should be priorities, and
Mhm.
how can we incorporate that, as people that have spaces like green spaces. We've already gone into detail on how they can create like be conducive to education through mindfulness, through having like a space of focus. But it really just comes down to like this is a space where children frequent. They're kind of like parks, and that a lot of youth cross roads with community gardens. So
Mhm.
how can we go even further? How can we take that to the next level and improve reading scores? And when you have that kind of metric in mind, it kind of like inspires you a little bit. All right, like then we have to do something kind of serious. We have to do more than have a little library, because that's another thing we started out with at our garden, was building a little like a little take a book, leave a book library, but it was so unused, So you have to make sure that, you have more than good intentions in mind. You kind of have like a step-by-step plan a little bit. Because it's just so important. In a city like Chicago too, that has a rich history of like great authors. Like there's no reason that like Gwendolyn Brooks or Sandra Cisneros shouldn't be household names, even among like very young children, because they tell Chicago stories for Black and Brown youth. And these are stories that, inspire, that people can connect with and have for like literally several generations. So I think one of things that I just wanted to share with the group was that uh it's our responsibility to like kind of like have a passion for reading, because it's a time where there's a lot of censorship, book bans.
Mhm.
I'm involved with a group called the Freedom to Read campaign, where it's like librarians and independent bookstore owners, they just kind of vent with like recent like red flags going on, like literal book burnings, going on, like as close as like states like Iowa or rural Illinois, so there is kind of like a push on kind of intellectual ideas right now. And I think, as people who are in touch with the community, in touch with, uh, building like safe spaces in neighborhoods, that, we kind of have an open mind to incorporating ideas that, don't always come up every summer. You know what I mean? So I
Mhm.
think a lot of organizers who do community gardens like to keep it fresh. Some years they do cooking demos, or other years they do like focus on composting. And if you're one of these gardeners, I would throw out there, throw in a literacy program every once in a
Mhm.
while, because this kind of impact can, prevent summer brain melt, and can connect kids to the arts and humanities. All right. So we're gonna move on
Yeah.
to the next part of our presentation. I know we want time for Q&A, but we have a few slides that are called success stories in Chicago. Um, we are low on time, so when we do the next 4 slides, I'm gonna ask the panelists, try to keep it like a 1 or 2 minute, lovable story.
Okay, so qualities of success. uh, Um, Something that we look for, share our shared values with our young people and passing on values. So some of the values are integrity, discipline, and knowledge. We teach young people, this is from our carpentry program. So we teach young people how to build 4x8s in ground beds and 4x4 raised beds. And so this is us. The first image is us learning to build the raised beds. And then the young people below that taking over the process of building it themselves. They learn initially, they then take over the process of building with supervision. We then, build out those raised beds, and then install them in community residents' homes. The guy in the orange sweater is a resident. He's super happy to have those two 4x4s in his house where he can now start to grow collard kale. And then we also installed trellises on them the following year. So then expanding their carpentry skills. And so then they develop the skill of integrity of like how they built it. They know that this is going to have an impact in someone's home. This is going to be in somebody's auntie's, grandpa home. So you don't want it to fall apart. You want it to be something that you can be proud of, that you would want your people to have. Discipline on like how to use the tool safely, and understanding that power tools are not a play toy. Like that's a tool to work with, and like don't be trying to just drill stuff unnecessarily. Don't try to just and then knowledge, the skill of carpentry and building things, and the power that comes with being able to use your two hands to create something. Because now we have young people who have tapped into the arts way more and are having exhibits and whatnot. And so super excited to inspire more successful stories through carpentry and agricultural. I'll pass it on over. That's my 1 minute.
Yes, that's beautiful, Adonis. And we totally need you guys over there at Lime Smiles for Miles, okay? So okay, Nate, it's your
Yeah,
slide.
I might be up.
Okay.
My 1 minute success story was last year. As part of our youth program, we all went to the Brookfield Zoo. Uh, and I really loved this trip because I thought like it was like an opportunity to like kind of meet people who work with the environment, but in a different way than community gardens. We were able to catch a zookeeper kind of on like a random event. Like they were handing out like skulls to kind of like toy around with. And so the kids really loved to see it was like a huge like horse skull or something. It was massive. Um, and then I
Fun.
think like in order to defend nature, I think you have to know nature. So, having like a really special moment, even just being outside the block, yeah, the trees and birds, can bring peace and mindfulness, but to see a bear on its hind legs, like tap on the glass, like you're like, whoa, like that's something like mad different. And I don't think like going to the zoo, is the most innovative thing in the world in terms of education, but how many of them are like Englewood youth, getting like a
Mhm.
private bus, to go to the zoo on like a field trip during the summer? How many are part of youth programs where we pay teens to like watch over and like kind of in a summer counselor capacity? And how many of them are like trying to connect students to wildlife in a way that relates to community garden and forestry in their own backyards? So we do give ourselves a little credit for, trips like this. We also did beach cleanup with the shed. And it definitely made last summer really special.
Beautiful. Okay, so yeah, so our qualities of success at Lime Smiles for Miles are we intentionally we focus on our matrix are the success levels of the children behavior and how their behaviors are changing as they're in the garden. And this photo right here is one of our little rambunctious little guys. When I say, hold on, buckaroo, they like some little cowboys and they just be running all over the place and they are the main ones that kind of trample over the plants. But as you can see, he's like sitting down in a beautifully aesthetic environment. He's painting like he actually sat there for at least like 15 minutes and did his painting. And you can actually see the banana and the apples and the strawberries and the pepper that he planted. We actually grew those. So, that was really cool to see that our children are being able to self-regulate and sit down, and you really don't see all the stimming behavior or the, like I said, the sounds that just doesn't sound happy. Yeah, so we aspire to improve personal skills, behavioral changes, and improve our food diet. So once again, we grow our vegetables according to the nutrition deficiencies in our body. And we also reaching IEP goals and cultivating maturity and instilling self-help skills, as you can see in this photo. And then at the bottom is just like a parent success story about how she felt like her child he was accepted in an environment. It was safe, nobody didn't yank him up, and it was safe. And he just matured. She saw a different child in him. And so, that is the success of our garden. And it's a natural effect with the sun, the physicalness, and the healthy eating, and just a place of their own that welcomes the look and the sound of them. Yeah, it just made our families, our community on that corner, Miss Gina and everyone just like a better place. So we are trying to have more success stories like that as a whole, and we are going to have success stories when he turned 18 because we're going to follow this little guy all the way throughout his life because our parents parent all their life. They don't stop at 18. So we're really focused on our families. So that's our success story.
Miss Gina.
Oh, okay. This is my success story. As I indicated before, um, children are my business, babies are my business, right? And this young gentleman, his father was just walking in the neighborhood. He lived down the street and he decided, oh, what's going on in this garden? So he brought him in. He was 3 years old, 4 years old then, and he walked around and he started picking strawberries. And he was so amazed that he picked the strawberries. This picture over here is my great granddaughter who loves the garden. I'm teaching her what gardening is. This is the intergenerational aspect, right? And so we took a day and just picked strawberries. That's my success stories. Babies are my business. Um, this picture here, I'm not sure. I guess she was coming to the garden and just happened. But this young gentleman here is now 6 years old. And when he comes to the garden, he always mentions, oh, Miss Gina, I remember when my dad brought me and we picked strawberries. That's my success stories. That's priceless for a baby at 3 to say, oh, and he would come back every just for strawberries. So that's a success story. It's when you can ingrain the children of something that they can see and eat that tastes beautiful and that's wonderful. That's where I am. And taking the kindergartner children and the first graders, that's a success story. One thing I have to say is one day I was bringing the children over to the garden from the school. So this young little man said, oh, may I hold your hand, Miss Gina? And I said, oh, sure, baby, you can hold my hand. And I said, well, why you want to hold my hand? He says, because you're old. I said, oh, okay, because I don't know if you can't see me, I have gray hair, and I might be what he thinks of old is because of his grandmother or maybe his aunts, and they probably need assistance, maybe walking or whatever. So that's a success for him to think that he would need to help me to walk 1 block. That's a success to me because that means he is in tune with his surroundings. He's in tune with what's going on in his life. He's in tune. And now we're going to go to the garden. But I did tell him, now I may be look old to you. I may be old, but I am very healthy. And that's why I'm taking you over to the garden right now so you can do the same thing. So that's success to me are the babies, to see them, to be enjoyed, to wanting to come, to be there, and they come back and they tell you, wow, I remember when. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. And that's my story. We only have a few minutes left.
What do we think? Do you want to open up
That,
to Q&A?
yeah, yeah, that was a great success story. Like we all want our kids to, be leaders. Yeah.
So does anyone have any questions or it's a lot of things in the chat. Um, did you want to read the chat, Nate? The, and see if anybody has any question.
They got a delicious brownie recipe for you in here, Miss Gina.
Yeah,
Made out
I
of
I
black
see
see
you. And you
beans.
know
brownies.
what? Thank you very much. I just saw that. It's okay.
Uh-huh.
Black green brownies. And I love me some black beans. Oh my goodness.
I
I'm
do
definitely going to
too.
use that. I'm would try that one. Absolutely. It's I'm going to look up the recipe because it sounds delicious.
I see a question, which is how and where do you share your opportunities from your organization? Is there
Well,
like
I
a
just,
website
yeah,
in the
I
chat?
just, yeah, you can follow Lime Smiles for Miles on Instagram as well as Facebook, as well as YouTube. So you just type in, I put it in a group chat, in the chat, my email address as well as our website. Yep,
And then we
guys, and
have some.
we're
Hey,
mhm.
Nathan, I was actually asking more along the lines of how do you get the word out about all these amazing things that you guys are doing? Like, marketing for your organizations, for lack of a better term. If people don't come
Mhm.
to an event like this, how do they hear about you guys?
Yeah, well, we are big on Facebook ads and community engagement. So, and we are, Lime Smiles for Miles would be at the Autism Expo, which we have to travel outside of our demographics to get real-time resources and recruiting. That's what makes us so significant for the West Side. So we are traveling to Westchester this Saturday for the Autism Expo. So that's how how we get a lot of our information now. We just focus on the audience, the audience that we're serving, and we get the word out. Our capacity this summer is 12. We are almost at full capacity for our summer program. So I think I sent the flyer and all that good stuff to Nate.
I think the way we do ours is through flyers for our events. Usually get a network from people who basically have come to some of our organization. We have a sign in, and then we send to them that information that if there's anything else, and that's with the the email Kuumba. So that's how we do it, basically. The website is not quite ready yet. We're still working on it. It's more than a notion. I had no idea that it would be this, but we haven't completed the website yet. So that's up and coming. Save the date.
And the poll has been launched, everybody. So take a moment to
Single.
do the poll. I see we have a question also. Do you guys offer this program as an outside resource, like working with other organizations and schools?
Yes, that's what Lime Smiles for Miles do at the moment. We partner with UIC, uh, Family Focus, the Marillac House, uh, as well as Kuumba and we talked to their parent groups about the services that they're just because the autism awareness and support is lacking within like 40 years. Then the West Side take it back another 15, then being low income, you going back even further. So yeah, please reach out to Lime Smiles for Miles for real time resources and information in regards to autism and Down syndrome. I put the email in the chat if anybody wants it again.
Do you have any other questions? As a great teacher told me, there is no such thing as a dumb question.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Miss Nurse, let me just take a picture of this.
I'm gonna
Thank
take
you so much.
I lost the brownie
I want to
recipe.
say thank you to everyone that came to our our panel discussion. And I want to shout out to some of my coworkers that's on here. Thank you.
Yes, I want to say thank you, and it's been just a pleasure getting together and just sharing all that we do.
Mm.
Okay, anything else? 5 chats. Some new messages. This was
Oh, and then on
wonderful.
our resources, can we go back? Can we go back one slide real quick? And so some of the resources that we use to build out is volunteer. So working with our universities that's near us. Like I mentioned, I've tapped in with University of Chicago's civic engagement. So then tapping into universities near you. Chicago Community Garden Association, Advocates for Urban Agriculture, and Chicago Cares. These are all great programs or great ways for you to
Yes,
bring
I'm screenshotting
and
as much
spread
as
the
I
outreach
could.
and get outreach to the events that you're looking for. Networking, visiting farmers markets across the city, to tap in with the growers to bring knowledge to your base. And then Julie Samuels, How to Start a Community Garden. There's a there's something, I forgot who put this in there, but a great read.
I put that in there. I'm sorry. I put that in there because if you want to start a garden, if you're a person that says, man, I would like to start a community garden, this is an article or a booklet or a pamphlet that tells you exactly how to do it. And the first thing that Julie Samuels, she just passed away last year. She said you cannot start a community garden without a community. And she tells you how you do that in this this article, in this
Hey
pamphlet.
guys, I am sorry. I have to go pick up my son
Oh yeah, and
from
I
school.
think our session is over anyway.
Thank you all, Nicole,
Yeah, we're at time.
Adonis, Nate, and Miss Gina. I really enjoyed the session, and I hope you all did too. But
Yes.
yeah, having a great afternoon.
Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Had a great
Bye,
afternoon, everyone. And thank
guys.
you everyone for
Thank you,
coming
guys.
and
Let's take
showing
a
your
picture.
interest of
Say cheese.
participating.
And we
Yes.
recorded this session, so we will share it out too. So
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
bye,
Have a blessed
everyone.
day, guys. See you, Miss
Enjoy this
Kay.
wonderful sunny weather that we're going to have, that we're having.
Uh-huh.